On alert, fresh flood warnings issued this morning as parts of Queensland are pounded by heavy rain. Good morning at 6 a.m. Wednesday, January 18. I'm Tim Webster.
And I'm Natasha Exelby. Good to have you with us on 10's Early News. Also making news this morning. The death toll rises as the ship sinks further. 5 more bodies found overnight from the wreck of the Costa Concordia in Italy.
In sport, Leighton Hewitt advances to the second round of the Australian Open, while Sam Stosur bows out in an embarrassing loss.
And in finance, an unhappy new year for Australian retail as disappointing Christmas sales spelled the start of job cuts.
And today's weather, more showers and storms in Queensland and northeastern New South Wales. Cooler for coastal parts of Victoria and South Australia. Hot winds will persist over the interior. And the weather's where we start today because Queensland is bracing for more heavy rain and flash flooding.
A slow-moving low is responsible for the wet conditions causing dangerous surf from Fraser Island to New South Wales border.
More than 200 millimetres of rain has pelted parts of Queensland in just 48 hours. A low slowly moving south off the coast is whipping up wild seas, forcing the closure of all 21 beaches on the Gold Coast. A swell of up to 4 metres turning the coast into a surface-only paradise.
You still get wet, so you must be out there, have fun.
The southeast has also been drenched, bringing back painful memories for flood victims.
I do say to people who went through a very traumatic experience last year, if you're feeling very anxious with all of this wet weather, that's normal.
Dams are overflowing, but releases from the southeast's 3 biggest are unlikely, with lower than anticipated rainfall in the catchment areas.
No, it's pretty much staying as it is, just moving southwards in a fairly sort of stable way. It's not really strengthening or weakening.
And there is some good news ahead, with conditions expected to ease in the southeast by Thursday. Some, though, aren't worried.
Nah, we're from Tassie anyway, so it's kind of like this all the time.
Ursula Hager, 10 News.
5 more bodies have been found on the sunken cruise ship in Italy overnight, raising the death toll to 11. Meantime, audio tapes have emerged revealing the captain at the centre of the Italian cruise ship disaster was ordered to return to his boat and save lives.
As dawn breaks over the Costa Concordia 4 days after she struck rocks, rescuers resort to new tactics, strapping explosives onto the side of the ship in an increasingly desperate effort to find 29 missing passengers. Now lying completely on her side just metres from Giglio Island, much of the vessel has been impossible to search.
The way in and the way out in case of evacuation will be shorter. And we hope that in this way we can reach all the places that haven't been inspected yet.
45 miles away, the ship's captain, Francesco Schettino, was appearing in court. He's being questioned on suspicion of manslaughter. His actions on Friday night have been further brought into question. Some islanders claim he planned to showboat by sailing close to the shore. A phone conversation allegedly between him and the Coast Guard has also revealed he was ordered to return to the ship. Dramatic footage has been released of frantic survivors during the evacuation. Balancing on the ship's side, they form a chain, clambering down into lifeboats. This is an infrared camera. The rescue was undertaken in darkness. The wreck has claimed 6 lives, and as the hours pass, fears grow it may have taken many, many more.
19 asylum seekers who survived a fatal shipwreck as they tried to reach Australia have gone missing from an Indonesian detention house. 200 people died last month when their boat sank near East Java. Those who were rescued have been held in detention in the East Javanese town of Bangil. But they managed to escape through a tunnel they dug themselves. Some who have been recaptured told police they were trying to arrange another boat to reach Australia. Meantime, a boat carrying 74 suspected asylum seekers has been intercepted off the West Australian coast. HMAS Glenelg stopped the vessel near Christmas Island. It's the 4th boat to arrive in Australian waters this year. Independent MP Andrew Wilkie is adamant his proposed pokey reforms aren't dead in the water. Mr Wilkie visited WA to win support for mandatory pre-commitment from crossbencher Tony Crook. There's speculation the Gillard government is working on a compromise involving a trial of the technology in the ACT.
The Productivity Commission recommended a trial. The government is interested in a trial, and I encourage that there be a trial conducted.
You haven't made up your mind about mandatory pre-commitment?
Not at all. No, there's still a long way to go on this. We haven't even seen the legislation on this yet.
Mr Wilkie indicated he's willing to delay the start date of his plan until 2016. And staying with politics, today could prove to be make or break for the West Australian Labor leader. Eric Ripper is expected to cut short his holiday to announce he's stepping down, as a growing number of MPs abandon him after losing support of more than half of his colleagues. Mr Ripper could hand control to Rockingham MP Mark McGowan, who will be the only candidate for the job. Dozens of roses will be scattered over train tracks this morning to mark 35 years since the Granville rail disaster. 83 people were killed and hundreds more were injured when a crowded Sydney-bound train derailed, ploughing into the steel supports of a road bridge. A large section of it collapsed onto two carriages, crushing and trapping dozens of passengers. A memorial service will be held in the city's west today, attended by the New South Wales Premier Barry O'Farrell and Governor Marie Bashir. Aussie teenage sensation Bernard Tomic takes to centre court today, carrying the hopes and dreams of the home crowd when he faces Sam Querrey on day 3 of the Australian Open. Leighton Hewitt has joined him in the second round, where he'll take on Andy Roddick after a hard-fought win over the German Cedric Marcel Steber. Last night, also through, Serena Williams, who breezed past Tamira Paszek.
Always a crowd favourite, Leighton Hewitt returned to Rod Laver Arena for a record 16th consecutive Australian Open tilt, playing with the same trademark bite. The 30-year-old holding a slight advantage over Cedric Marcel Steber, going about it in his usual workmanlike fashion. Hewitt claimed the first 2 sets as the ball kids were pushed to their limits in more ways than one.
She's got this look of, I can't believe I'm holding this in my hand.
But Steber wasn't done with fighting back to win the third, and soon Hewitt found himself 5-1 down in the fourth. But he refused to give up. Instead, he switched gears.
Mr. Hewitt's won 5 consecutive games.
Hewitt storming past the German in a confidence-boosting 4-set win. Serena Williams is also through to the second round, blazing past Tamira Paszek in a commanding 2 sets.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys staying. I haven't been here in over a year, so I was a little nervous today, but thank you for getting me through it.
Jackie Reid, 10 News.
Yeah, but Sam Stosur's Australian Open campaign came crashing back to earth after a first-round loss to Romanian Sorana Costea, 7-6, 6-3. Even with the home crowd cheering her on, Stosur couldn't get going, and after dropping the first set, her game really simply fell apart. The match lasted just 91 minutes, leaving the 6th seed devastated.
I think you feel what you feel. I'm probably very close to crying and having a really awful night.
In other matches, Jarmila Gaidasova's Open ended with a loss to Maria Kirilenko, while Jelena Dokic wound back the clock with a win over Anna Chakvedadze. The FFA has sent a please explain letter, or both of them, to Sydney FC and Brisbane Roar after their post-match dust-up at the weekend. The league's match review panel has ruled that no players have a case to answer, but the clubs could be in breach of the game's code of conduct.
At the end of the game, there was a bit of push and shove. No one was hurt, there was no punches, so I don't think it's anything.
The Sky Blues are more concerned with arresting their 4-game losing streak when they take on Perth Glory in Sydney tonight. Time for finance with Natasha Exelby, and good news, we start with jobs.
Indeed. A little bit of good news, a little bit of bad news, Tim. Here's the bad news. Australia's retail sector is bracing for a new wave of job cuts. The crucial Christmas sales period failed to deliver much-needed boost, leading some economists to predict trouble ahead for several struggling retailers. It follows a string of closures in recent months from the likes of Borders, Angus and Robertson, Fletcher Jones. Even Myer is feeling the pain. It closed an underperforming store in Melbourne just last week. And it isn't just retail feeling the pinch. The ANZ Bank has launched its first round of job cuts amid fears that up to 7,000 jobs could disappear from Australia's big banks in 2 years. The bank told 130 staff in Victoria yesterday their jobs will be axed. Over the next 6 months, it will slash about 1,000 jobs as a quick fix designed to relieve pressures from analysts and investors about the bank's growing debt cross. Here's the good news, though. If you are in the market for a new job, you might need to look in New South Wales. The state has bucked a national trend to be the only place in Australia where employers say they plan to increase staff numbers over the next few months. A national survey of more than 4,000 employers found that hiring intentions were down on last year. But New South Wales was the exception to the rule, bucking that trend. There has been growth in professional services and transport. Let's have a look at the figures in detail now. US stocks are trading higher this morning, largely due to some decent profit margins from the ASX 500 business listings. The Dow Jones is currently up more than 120 points and the Nasdaq is also climbing. Across to Europe, and things are also looking up. There's been strong demand for Spanish and Italian debt sales. Investors like that very much, so there were gains right across the board there yesterday. Asia well and truly made up for its Monday losses. The Nikkei jumped 88 points and Hong Kong's Hang Seng made gains of almost 2%. To the commodities now, and oil is trading slightly higher at just over $100 a barrel. There's also been a minor move north in the price of gold. Let's have a look at the currency crosses, and one Aussie dollar continues to buy 103 US cents and 81 euro cents. Our market ended Tuesday almost 70 points in front, and the SPI is pointing to another positive start to Wednesday.
And the Wednesday weather: Brisbane showers and 29, Sydney clearing showers 27, Canberra mostly sunny though 30, Melbourne possible showers and 30 as well, Hobart rain clearing 23, Adelaide clearing showers and 30, Perth some possible thunderstorms and 36, Darwin lake thunder as well and 33 degrees. Taking a look at today's newspaper headlines, the Courier Mail says it was a case of hold on to your brolly at Surfers Paradise yesterday, with wild winds and heavy rain lashing down the beaches.
The Sydney Morning Herald reports police are frustrated after the 10th drive-by shooting this year, but say they don't believe it's linked to any of the others.
And the Herald Sun says a growing number of parents have been dumping their kids at unsupervised indoor play centres while they go shopping to avoid the daycare costs.